So we have two examples here. So in first case, we have something which have inertia in the body. Okay, and in this second example, in which I'm saying if some person fell from the terrace. So in that case, we have a stationary object. It could be the you can say just land, okay, and it could be some rock or any hard object which is stationary. Okay, so here I'm trying to explain a sort of like some sort of physics, you can say. So this is the stationary object in the second case. Okay, so we have a stationary object which against the victim. Okay, because victim is falling from the terrace, so it is against the victim, or it could be the combination of both. Okay, it could be the moving body with inertia, or it could be the stationary object. So it can be combined. Due to the impact between the forward moving force and the counter force, energy is transferred to the tissue of the body. Okay, so in all that course, you can see that the energy is transferring to the tissues, and we all know that we have basic building blocks of cells, and then similar type of cells will combine and will make tissues. Okay, and these tissues will do the same work, right? Same type of cells make some type of tissues, and that specific same types of tissue will make some specific type of organs. So that's how we make the flow chart, right? Cells and then tissues, and then we have organs, and then we have organ system. Okay, then we have organ system. So here the force, you can say, the force is transferred to the tissue of the body, which causes a change in their state of the rest or motion. So if the all energy is transferred to a particular tissue, so there will be some change in the natural continuity of the tissue or cell, and here we can say that this is an injury, or this is some sort of wound, causation of wounds. And this is the basic principle behind this. The human body contains many complex tissues which greatly vary in their physical properties, right? So we have many different types of complex tissues, right? We have different types of tissues which makes our outer skin. We have different types of tissues which makes our different organs. So we can say our stomach is made up of some specific sort of tissues, and our heart is made up of cardiac tissues, which is special type of tissues which is only present in the heart. And we have some specific type of tissue which follows some you can say which follow some specific path, or you can say they have different workflow. So we have different and complex tissues which varies with the physical property. Okay, such a state of solidity and fluidity and density and elasticity, and because of the change in the state of the rest or motion. So why it is changing? Because of the transfer of the force of the body, which produced by a forceful impact does not affect the tissue, does does not affect the tissue uniformity. So if the force is not enough to make discontinuity, then there will be no harm to the tissue or uniformity of the tissue. But if the energy or if the power is more, then the continuity of the tissue will be disturbed. And as soon as we see the disturbance in continuity of the tissue, we can say that here we have an injury or wound. Okay. Okay, now some of the energy is spent to the moving the body as a whole, but most of the energy may cause a non-uniform motion. It will cause a non-uniform motion of localized part of the body, due to which the affected tissue will be subjected to compression or to traction strains, or a combination of both. So in a simple words, as I already said, that if the energy is transferred to tissue, and if that energy is more as compared to the elasticity of that tissue, then there will be there will be some discontinuity, and here we like in that moment we can see the injury. All the body tissues except those which contain gas are resistant to compression. Okay, so other body tissues which contains gas are resistant to comparison. So what does that mean? So we breathe, right? Okay, so we have some specific types of tissues in our lungs. Okay, and if we see the structure of lungs, we have small, we can say branch, like a cauliflower or like broccoli. We have packets where we exchange the gases, right? We take oxygen and we like replace it with carbon dioxide. So this transfer happens in the alveoles, and these alveoles look exactly like broccoli. And this, like that particular organ is made up of some tissues and that contains gas, right? I'm talking about oxygen and I'm talking about carbon dioxide. So if I am talking about gases, then those type of tissue will have sort of property. They can compress and they have compression and they have relaxation both in that particular tissue. But apart from that, those tissues which do not contain gas, they will be resistant to comparison, means they will not be able to compress further and it will be resulting into injury. So they resist force, which is tending to reduce the volume. Mechanical force does not cause compression of the tissue, but it causes their displacement and deformation. Really very important. Okay, if I am talking about mechanical force, so I have given two examples, right? So in one example I said that if some bullet is there in that victim's body, or some bullet hit at the person. So this is the first case. In this case, again, mechanical force is here. The bullet will come with all of its force. And in the second case, in which I'm saying a person is, so for example, a person fell from the terrace. So in this also we have some sort of mechanical force. And in mechanical force, we do not see compression. There is displacement and deformation, you can say, and traction strains are produced to the affected tissues. So all those tissues which is affected, we can say displacement of tissues and deformation of tissues, and both the things are really very dangerous to the victim. Such strains may be due to the force which causing simple elongation of tissue. So the very basics of tissues and cells, I will give one example. So if we talk about elongated tissue, so we have elongated epithelials, right? So in elongated epithelials, these type of tissues, okay, they may be due to the more complex mechanism such as bending, torsion and sharing. So these type of tissues will sustain these minor mechanical injuries. Okay, a shear strain is a strain which is produced in a body by the forceful alteration. It is produced in a body with forceful alteration, and its shape is not its volume. Okay, so its shape is not its volume, and this is produced in the body by the forceful alteration. Okay, it causes or tends to cause two parts of a body in contact with each other to slide relatively to each other in a direction parallel to their same plane of contact. So if we see the parallel type of injury, so it causes or tend to cause two parts of a body in contact with each other. So if two parts of the body are contacting each other, which is relatively you can say side by side, they might have these type of injuries because of the great variation in the resistance of the different tissues to be ruptured with varying ease, as their properties are different. As I said, like different tissues will have different physical properties, and of course they will have different properties. So similar type of injury will cause different type of sorry similar type of force can cause different types of injuries to different tissues. Okay, the soft tissues are plastic, As such, mechanical force alters their shape, which is limited by the cohesion between the tissue cell and connective to the vascular tissue framework and capsules of organs. Soft tissues rupture when they are stretched beyond its limit and their tensile strength. So for example, I said already that we have some tissues which have some elasticity, and if the force is more than their tensile strength, then we can see the rupture of tissue. So most of the time it happens with soft tissues. And what are soft tissues? So soft tissues and soft organs are those organs we do not have control on, right? We cannot control these tissues to work. For example, you cannot control your heartbeat. You can control your breathing. You have control on your breathing, which means you can like some sort of control in your lungs, but you do not have any type of control in your heart. So you cannot control your heartbeat. So these are the soft tissues. Okay, so we have some soft tissues, and then we have skeletal. So in skeletal we can control, and in soft we do not we cannot control. Okay, so that's what the main mechanism is. So this is the basic mechanism of create, like how the wound or injury creates. Okay, it is created by like which mechanism. So this is the basic mechanism. So basically it includes force, and our human body is not able to sustain the force. Okay, all these organs and tissues are really very sensitive to force and are really very sensitive to biological things as well. So we cannot control these actions, and that's why we get injury, and that's why we get wounds on our body. So the first one, the mechanical one, is really very important, and we have like few points in this. So you can just go through these points and the basic mechanism, in which the basic thing here is, if the force or the force is more than the tensile strength of the tissue, then we can see creation of an injury or wound. And if the force is lesser than the tensile strength, then we can we can sustain that injury, we can sustain that force. But if the force is more, we'll be having discontinuity of the skin or tissue, which basically conclude to the definition of injury or wound. So I hope everything is clear by now. If you have any doubt, question, query, you can comment that down below. We can discuss that. And if you want to join any of our classes, you can download the application. All the details are given in the description box, and if you want to contact us, all the contact details are again given in the description box. So just go through it, and if you like this video, you can click the like button, share it with your friends, seniors and juniors, and see you guys in the next class. Till then, take care, bye.